we are like saying that German unification. Of course, it was led by a man called Otto von Bismarck, a thinker in politics. So we need really to know our question. Examine the stages through which the German unification was achieved. We are saying German unification refers to the process by which smaller German states were liberated from foreign domination and brought into one larger and united German state. There were so many German states such as Prussia, Bavaria, Holstein, Schleswig, Hanover, among others. These states were liberated, and by January 1871, German unification was completed with the declaration of the German Empire. German unification was achieved through various stages. So let us see the stages of the German unification. Number one, the Napoleonic campaigns in Germany, 1806 to 1815. What happened? It is said Napoleonic campaigns, when Napoleon conquered the German states, he spread there the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. We can say conquering couldn't be good altogether. But it is said when he conquered them, he spread the ideas of liberty, equality, and fraternity. By the time these people rose up, they knew about liberty, equality, and fraternity. So it is this that helped Germany to get its unification. Another one, the Congress of Vienna, 1814 to 1815. We are like saying today, the Congress of Vienna united so many German states and put them under Austria. I can say some wise men in Germany were like saying, since the diplomats have managed to unite us, we can still unite all states and you create one state called what? Germany. So we are like saying today, it was the Congress of Vienna that indirectly helped Germany to get its unification. Then the German revolutionary movements of 1816 to 1819. It is said revolutionary movements in Germany, people rose up. They were agitating for change. They were decampaigning the policies of Prince Metternich. They were against autocratic leaders. So by this was a process to unify a country called Germany. I can say, though they were defeated altogether, but this was a great seed that helped Germany to get its what? Unification. Sacrifice in terms of everything until a state called Germany was liberated. By the way, at one time, there were some two states, Schleswig and Holstein. Denmark was saying Schleswig and Holstein belong to Denmark. Prussia of Germany was saying that Schleswig and Holstein belong to Germany. They disagree. They went to a very wise man called Palmerston of Britain. They asked Palmerston, please tell us, because Denmark is saying Schleswig and Holstein belong to what? To Denmark. Then Prussia is saying they belong to Germany. They went to Palmerston. Palmerston told them only 3 people knew Holstein and Schleswig question. The prince who died, the German professor who became mad, and I who forgot. Then who knew? It meant no one knew. But of course they had to fight until they created a state called what? Germany. So we are like saying today, the establishment of the German Customs Union, it was called Zollverein by Prussia, 1816. I can say one of the hindrances to the struggle was economic backwardness. They did not have money. They were struggling. The question is, how were the Germans going to be liberated when they were not having what? Money. So by this time, wise people, started dissolving an economic organization which was meant to collect resources which were going to be used to liberate a state called Germany. So by this time, someone who had 100 had to bring. Those that had 1,000 had to bring. They collected the money, and the money was used in buying military equipment, in moving from one place to another, until a state called Germany was what? Created. Praise be to big names. Like King William. William I was a good man. William I and a man called Otto von Bismarck. Otto von Bismarck. By the way, it is William who chose Otto von Bismarck. Another one, we are like saying the revolutions of 1848-51 in the German states. We are like saying in 1848, in these revolutions in the German states, these people were targeting to unify a country called what? German. But the struggle was not easy. I can tell you they were defeated. But this was a great seed which was planted, and later it helped German to get its unification. When they were defeated in 1848, by this time they learned a lesson. Mind you, in real politics, you first make a mistake, then you get a lesson. Then the last stage is called perfection. You must be perfect in the third stage. So by this, they learned their mistakes. That's why by 1848, though they were not successful, this was a great seed that later helped German to get its unification. Then, of course, we are like saying the rise of Bismarck, 1851 to 62. When Bismarck rose up as an important politician in Prussia, he used this chance to fight for the German unification. You remember the liberals, for them, wanted German to get its unification, but they wanted to use peace. I think you know this. But Bismarck, for him, he wanted to use force. By the way, Bismarck has said that the great questions of the day shall not be decided by speeches and resolutions of the majority, but by blood and iron. A man believed in the blood and iron policy until a state called Germany was what? Liberated. Bismarck has said, diplomacy without force is like a music without instruments. So that's why at one time he used the peaceful means, the other time he used the force, until German got its what? Unification. I can tell you the name Otto von Bismarck is supposed to be written on all the halls of German for fighting for the German what? Unification. Another one, we are like saying Prussia's war against Denmark, 1864, and then the annexation of Schleswig to Prussia. It is said at one time Denmark was claiming that Schleswig and Holstein belong to Denmark. Prussia of Bismarck was saying that they belong to what? To German. Problems arose. So by this time there was a war between Denmark and Prussia. But before this war, Bismarck, a man who was a calculator in politics, went and convinced Austria that I need your support on condition. After liberating Schleswig and Holstein, I'll give you one of the two what? The two states altogether. So what happened in the Danish War? Bismarck defeated Denmark and he liberated Schleswig and Holstein. But the problem was one. He had promised to give one state to what? To Austria. So after the Danish War, Austria demanded for its territory. Bismarck gave Austria Holstein and he annexed Schleswig to Prussia. This was a step towards the German unification. But the problem was one. He gave Holstein to what? To Austria. And there is no way Germany was going to get its unification without having Holstein. Because Holstein was supposed to be part of the German what? Empire. Problems arose. Here he gave Holstein to what? To Austria. But still he needed it. What a calculator in politics. What did Bismarck do? By this time, he wanted to create a situation of war between Prussia and Austria in order to liberate what? Holstein. Moreover, is the one who gave Holstein to what? To Austria. By this, he came up with an idea that I don't support Austria to be the leader of the German Confederation. By this time, he annoyed the country called what? Austria. Austria declared the war on Bismarck. By this time, Bismarck, a calculated politics, went to Napoleon III still and told Napoleon III of France that if you are neutral, in the Austral Prussian War, after the war, I will give you territory altogether. So by this time, what happened in the Austral Prussian War? In this war, Prussia of Bismarck defeated Austria and Holstein was liberated. A man annexed Holstein to Prussia. Moreover, is the one who gave Holstein to what? To Austria, and Holstein was liberated. I can tell you by this time, this was a real process to help Germany get its unification. Now, we are looking at the stages of the German unification. You hear this. The Austral Prussian War, 1866, and the annexation of Holstein. This was a stage because in the Austral Prussian War, Bismarck liberated Holstein. It was annexed to Prussia, and this was a big step towards the unification of Germany. Praise be to a man called Otto von Bismarck. A calculated politics. Let me tell you, in politics sometimes 3 plus 3 equals 33. People of normal brains will say 3 plus 3 equals to 6. But in politics, it is 33, my friend. So Bismarck was a calculated what? In politics. Another one, formation of the North German Confederation. 1867. After liberating so many states, a man formed the North German what? Confederation. I can tell you this was a big step towards the unification of what? German. Because he had liberated so many states, by this time, he created the North German what? Confederation. But he had a problem. Because South German states were under the control of France. Altogether, a man wanted to liberate the South German states. But the hard question is how? Because by this time, France was controlling the South German states. You have created the North German Confederation, but you are remaining with the South German what? States. By this time, problems arose. I can say, Otto von Bismarck, a calculated politics. For him, he wanted a war between France and Prussia, but he didn't want to be the one like in the process of causing it. He wanted France to cause it, but he started thinking, how can I provoke France into what? Into a war. At one time, there were conflicts between France and Prussia. King William I, was a good man, but he was a bad man. William I wrote a letter to Napoleon III apologizing for what was taking place between France and what? Prussia. Bismarck, for him, he wanted a war. Of course, apology could not bring a what? A war. But for him, Bismarck wanted a what? A war. A man who was taking the letter EMS passed via Bismarck's place and told Bismarck, my friend, I'm taking a letter to Napoleon the what? The third. Bismarck told this friend of his, let me read it. Bismarck read, and William was like apologizing to Napoleon the what? The third. Moreover, for him, he wanted a war in order to liberate the South German states. What happened? Bismarck changed the wordings of the letter to appear as if William was abusing Napoleon III. I can tell you at this time, Bismarck distributed this letter, EMS, in all French newspapers. He wanted to make the minds of the French to support a what? A war. By this time, the letter landed into the hands of Napoleon III. But Napoleon III had a problem. He was bedridden, suffering from great diseases. By the way, among the diseases of Napoleon III, he had a disease called urinary tract infection. I can tell you, by this time, the man had problems. But the letter landed into his hands. Napoleon read the letter. And for him, he said, I need to declare war on Prussia. By the way, before taking the letter, Bismarck prepared his army. Before the man taking the what? The letter. Because he knew, after Napoleon III reading, he was going to declare what? A war. So by this time, Bismarck prepared his army. And they took the letter. Napoleon read the letter. He said, I need to declare war against which country? Prussia. But by this time, he was bedridden. He said, how can I declare war? On the bed's side, there was the wife called Eugenie de Montjoie, a woman full of love. By this time, Eugenie de Montjoie told Napoleon III, let me read in. Eugenie read and was like William abusing France. But it's Bismarck who changed the what? The wordings. Eugenie said, my friend, we must declare war against Prussia. By this time, Napoleon III, without calculating, by this time, he said, I have declared war. By the way, Eugenie said, this is my war. And this led to the Franco-Prussian War. What happened in the Franco-Prussian War? 1870 to 71. I can tell you, in this war, France was defeated. Napoleon III was taken as a prisoner. The South German states were liberated. They were